Okay, well, welcome, Wildcats. Thank you for joining us this evening for our online career workshop hosted by the University of Arizona Alumni Career and Professional Development Lab. I'm Cindric Steptoe, the director of the Career Lab. I'm broadcasting live from the beautiful UA campus here in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm excited for tonight's webinar, How to Use Indeed. It's going to be presented by Victoria De Rosa. This webinar will present job seekers with resources for how to start their career search, as well as share best practices on how to use Indeed. Another job search tool that's available to all of you U of A alumni is called Handshake, and I'll mention more about that at the end. So this webinar is part of a free alumni career webinar series from the Alumni Career Lab that provides monthly conversations with experts about a variety of industry and professional development topics. Today's presentation is being recorded and it will be available and archived on the Alumni Association website for members to access on demand. Find a link to that and more at alumnicareerlab.com. Questions are welcome at any time during tonight's event. Type them into the chat box on the right side of your screen, whatever you think of them. Victoria will answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Also, if you're on Twitter tonight, tweet at us about the webinar or other career topics using the hashtag HireACat. We love to hear from you. Now, a little bit about the speaker. Victoria is a university recruiter at Indeed.com and has been working there for 3.5 years. Victoria graduated from UConn School of Business as a management major in 2014 and began working at Indeed immediately after graduation. Victoria recruits for all non-technical internship opportunities such as sales and client services for Scottsdale, Austin, and San Mateo office locations, and is happy to discuss any full-time roles as well. I want to give a huge thanks to Victoria for taking the time to be with us and share her expertise with UA alumni tonight. Now I'll turn things over to Victoria, who will tell you a little bit more about herself and walk you through her presentation. Victoria, I'll give it to you at this time.
Hi everybody, this is Victoria. I hope you guys can see my screen okay. I'm gonna put it on present mode, and then we'll jump right in. So, like the beautiful introduction said, I am here with Indeed.com, and we are a search engine specifically targeted at finding job opportunities. So very similar to Google, but just for jobs. And our mission, which you'll see all over our office,
Hey, Victoria, the viewers are saying it's hard to hear you. Can you turn your volume up by chance,
is that better?
or your microphone volume?
One second, sorry about that. Let me see about joining from my laptop to see if it works better.
Okay. Yeah, or just put the microphone closer to your mouth or talk closer to it.
Is that a little bit better?
It sounds good on my end, but I think the viewers are having. Yeah. Do you have a headset by chance that you can put on and speak through that?
Let me try 1 second. Was that a little bit better?
You just sound real far away from the microphone.
I'm like on top of it. I'm sorry. Not sure what the solution could be. Yeah, I tried the headset and this is it with the headset, so I'm not sure if it's just my system over here.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, that's really the only other, the only way I can chat. I have it held up to my lips right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah, just make sure your mic is turned up and you're just talking as close as possible. 'Cause as you say, it sounds like you're far away from it. Sounds a little distorted.
Okay. Well, I'll try and speak a little louder. Does that work better?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, so then I'll try just speaking a little bit louder. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we are here targeted at helping people find jobs. So really just not really any job, but we want to make sure that we're finding you the right fit and the position that is going to be most relevant to the job that you're looking for and what you're interested in. So really just hoping to give you an opportunity that is, best fit to your needs and your interests. So kind of just a brief overview of what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about Indeed, basic tips for how to use the site. We'll talk about how to set up job alerts, kind of some of the other features that we have on the website, and then also the features of Indeed Resume if you're interested in that as well. So just a kind of bit of information about Indeed. We are the world's #1 job site, so you're going to find opportunities from all over different sort of companies. So we have just specific employer sites, so over 100,000 employer sites, over 65,000 small businesses, and 27,000 job boards. So really, if a job is posted anywhere for any sort of company, you're going to find it on our site. And we really just want to make sure that we're providing job seekers with, all opportunities, whether they're for Fortune 1000 companies or the coffee shop up the street from your apartment. We're also global, so you can find jobs, across the world. If you're looking to move overseas or try a new adventure, you really can look for opportunities really anywhere across the globe with our site. And the main mission of our site always is to put the job seeker first. So any decisions we're making here, we're always going to do what's best for the job seeker and making sure that they are, what we're targeting and what we're focused on when we make changes to the website. So just kind of showing you what, is Indeed and a little bit about our site is this is what it looks like. So when you go there, it's going to say what and where. So the what section, you really can put a basic search. So just targeting the jobs that you want. You can put job titles, skills, a specific company. If you're searching for, just one company that's your dream company to work for, you can put any of that and it's going to, come up. And then for what, you can be as specific as you want. So you can put a specific zip code. You can just put a city to be a little bit broader, or even a state. If you're looking to work, anywhere in New York, you could put New York and it'll find opportunities across the New York state. So this is just an example of, what the website looks like if you're searching broad versus specific, right? So on the left-hand side, you'll see just sales in Austin, Texas. And with that, 8,500 jobs come up, right? So that's a lot of opportunities to be applying to. Obviously, if you are looking, if you're not sure what sort of sales you want to get into, it's great. It gives you a broad range of sales opportunities. But on the right-hand side, you'll see if you search medical sales, it narrows it down to 1,200 jobs rather than 8,500. So a lot smaller of a selection, still probably not going to apply to 1,200 jobs, but gives you the opportunity to target a little closer what you're looking for. And then we also have the advanced job search feature. So that's, really useful if you're not sure how to use a Boolean search. It's similar to Google, but I know for me, it can get a little confusing. So with that, it kind of tells you what to look for, right? So if you want a manager position or a director position. Or if you want not sales, you can put not sales in that section so that it's specifically pulling exactly what you're looking for. And then if you do find jobs that you're interested in that, align with what you're looking for and you get a good search, you can set up email updates. So with that, you just put in your email once you figure out that you like those jobs that you're applying to, and then you can get those emails to you. And you can change the settings on that. So if you want emails every day, if you want them once a week, you can change that in your settings once you set those up. So now I'm just going to do a live search for you guys. So if anyone has a specific job that they're looking for, you can put it in the chat and we can see sort of what sort of jobs come up. So anyone specifically have something I want to search for? Okay, let's see. Stanley says educational technology. And is there somewhere specific you're looking for? Okay, so let's see. Orange County. So we've got educational technology in Orange County, California. So we're going to click find jobs. And we've got 574 jobs. So with that, you can kind of click through, you'll see, right? So we have some coordinator, some instructor positions, technology support specialist, instructional designer. You also have some of these features on the left-hand side, which are nice, right? So if you want to be a little bit more targeted to where you are, you can narrow it down just to say 15 miles or 10 miles away. Excuse me. Then you can also do based off of salary. So one thing with salary, it is going to be an estimate. So some companies do put the pay in their job description, some don't. So that's why we have estimate there, just so that you know it's not a given that that's going to be the salary. It's just a rough estimate from trends based off of the location and the title for the job. Then you can pick full-time, part-time. If you want an internship, you can kind of narrow it down based off of that. And then even if you're sort of an entry-level candidate versus mid-level or senior, you can narrow down based off of that as well. So I know when I was looking for jobs, this was super helpful for me. I was always picking full-time and I was always picking entry-level since I was just, approaching graduation. And then you see it narrows that down to 56 jobs. So makes it a lot easier to look through and to kind of pick through what sort of jobs you're looking for. Now over here on the right-hand side, this is going to be where those job alerts are. So you can fill in your email here and they will update you whenever, something that meets this criteria that you've filled out gets posted so that you can be the first person to apply to that job. The sooner that you are applying when they post the positions, the more likely you are to be one of the first people to be considered. So I know alerts are really helpful so that you can be on top of your search. You don't have to remember every day what you searched the day before so that you can pull it up. The alerts can be pretty helpful for that. Another useful thing that I recommend is rather than, narrowing it down by relevance, narrow it down by date. That'll make sure that the jobs that were posted most recently are coming up on top. So you see this job here was posted 1 day ago. If you scroll down, this was posted 11 days ago, right? So that job that was posted 4 days ago probably has less applicants than the 11 days. Just because the longer that they're posted, the more and more people who are going to start applying to it, and it starts to get filled up. And then finally, the last bit of information over here, on the right-hand side, we do have, a sponsored company here. So this company has jobs that relate back to what you've searched in the area that you've searched for. So if you want to learn more about these companies, you can click in to see all of the jobs. You can see reviews on the company, information about their salaries, pictures even. And then this is also a useful resource. It's going to be information about salaries for the region for similar sort of positions that you've posted. So I'm going to quickly click into this here so you guys can see what that looks like. So this is going to be a company page. You can search any sort of company here with this, but for St. Joseph's Health, you can see ratings on what it's like to work there, information on the CEO, information about the culture. You can scroll down, you see some social media stuff over here, reviews. So if you're looking to learn more about the company before you apply, you can click on that and get more information there. And then last but not least, if you want to click on the salaries information, here it can give you a breakdown of kind of what those salaries look like for the California area with related jobs. So if you, based on what you're searching, you can kind of change what you're searching and find, what those salaries look like based off of the job title and the area that you're searching. It gives you sort of ranges for information that we've gathered historically through the posting. Great, so then I will jump back into the presentation and we'll go over sort of just the basic Boolean search, right? So, if like I said, it's similar to Google. So if you put not, it will make sure to remove those job titles. If you put or, it's gonna, group things together. So sales or customer service. And will really narrow down what you're looking for. So if you put and, it's gonna, gather those and make sure both of them are there. And then group will just, if you put it in quotation marks, it's gonna group the words together so that it knows you want customer service, not just the word customer and the word service in the job description. Now I'm just gonna jump into Indeed Resume, kind of tell you a little bit more about the Indeed Resume service. So with Indeed Resume, once you make an account with Indeed, you can upload your resume and that'll make it easier for you to apply to positions, right? So if you see here, a lot of our jobs will have this orange easy apply link. And if you have your resume uploaded on your account, you'll be able to, one click apply to different positions. So that's really nice because if you, are just kind of scrolling through, seeing a lot of things that you're interested in, you won't have to do, 10 different applications and, fill out all that information on all of the company websites. You can just easily apply through Indeed and it'll send them your resume, format it so that it matches up to their application process and it goes 1, 2, 3 to their recruiters. With that Indeed resume, you can also search, you can set your settings. So either you can have a public or a private resume. And I want to clarify, when I say public, doesn't mean that recruiters can access your email address or phone numbers. Public just means that you are searchable through Indeed resume for recruiters if they're looking to find candidates. So your contact information is still going to be private. You're just going to get emails through your Indeed account if they're interested. So similar to LinkedIn, if somebody finds you on LinkedIn and thinks you're a good fit for their job, they'll reach out to you. That's the same as Indeed resume. So if you make it public, all that matters is you'll be able to be searchable by recruiters. If it's private, they won't be able to search you, and they won't be able to find your resume to reach out if they have a job that fits what you're looking for. I know for me, when I set up my account, I made it public just because it's kind of an easy way to get some interest in jobs, right? So if they're searching for sales reps and you have sales on your resume, they're going to reach out to you because you fit the job mold that they're searching. And it's just an easy way to get recruiters reaching out and asking you if you're interested in their jobs. If you're pretty, content with the searches that you found and what you've applied to, just make it private. If you don't want to be bothered and get those jobs coming your way, then that's fine as well. It's really up to you and your preference, but both ways, your contact information will be hidden, so you won't have, anyone sending you spam emails or something. And then this is just a quick example of what an email might look like through the Indeed platform if they find that they're interested in, you applying to their job, right? So, hi, this is so-and-so, we have this job available, I'd love to talk to you about some details, let me know if you're interested. That's what you'd see coming through, and then you can reply directly to that email and let them know that you're interested. If you do reply that you're interested, that's when you'll select to share your contact information, and that's where the contact information will be shared with the recruiter, but you can select not to as well. It's really up to you once they email you and if you're interested in the job. And then finally, one of the cool things that we do is we allow you to share your story about if you found your job through Indeed. So I know hundreds of thousands of people will go through and add their story when they do find a job on Indeed. They'll kind of go in, post, say, hey, I found a job, I got it here. This is the opportunity I found. And one of the neat things that we do around the office is we feature some of these stories on our internal servers and on our internal TVs, just to kind of get everybody excited about, hey, this is what we're doing. We are actually finding people jobs. And I know I love reading the stories that they post up there. Some of them are really entertaining, and also just really heartwarming that people are using the site and it works for them to find those jobs. So if you do happen to find your job through Indeed, feel free to go there and share your story, and you might be featured on one of our TVs in here. And then we also do have a mobile app. So if you are, if you want to add that to your smartphone, you can search for jobs on the go. Another sort of plug for that easy apply feature. If you do have your resume uploaded, it'll automatically adjust to the mobile site so that if you are clicking on these easy apply jobs, you can apply to them through your phone and it'll still send the application, easy peasy, your resume will be on there and the formatting or anything won't change. So that's another cool feature if you do kind of spend a lot of time on your phone, which sadly I think we all do. So that's a nice perk as well. Awesome. So that's really it on my end. I can turn it over to you guys for Q&A. I know that there is a question about filtering companies that take international students. So there unfortunately isn't a way to filter for international students. But one thing that I would recommend is kind of just adjusting your search to some of the wording that might come up on, a position, right? So if you go into the advanced search, one of the exact phrases might be sponsorship, like offer sponsorship. And it'll pull up positions that might come up, right? So we offer sponsorship if qualified. So you see right here, it says does not offer sponsorship at this time. So let's go back to that advanced search and make it so that it says does not offer sponsorship, right? So it looks like, unfortunately for Orange County, California, there is only that one position. But I will say a lot of companies might not put that on their job description. So it is a really tricky sort of situation to kind of navigate. I would be sure to just kind of research some companies through maybe say like Google, just Googling, companies in this area that offer sponsorship, and figuring out through there what the options are, and then coming through and searching those specific companies, just because it can be tricky. So I do understand how that might be tough. But yeah, that's one way that I might recommend doing it, is just kind of filtering, does not, jobs that don't have this in their wording, what can we find? So look, here we go. We've got some of these specialists, as behavioral aid, a developer. So some of those positions might offer sponsorship rather than, not offering sponsorship. I apologize, but there's not actually just a filter on the left-hand side. I think one of the main reasons why we don't have that there just yet is because, like I mentioned, a lot of companies don't put that in their job description, so it's difficult for us on our end to kind of narrow it down. We don't want to false advertise anything if we assume that they do or assume that they don't, and then that's not the case. And let's see, Anne, I see you're asking, is it better to put a specific resume or more general? So I would say probably a more general resume I would put on Indeed, just because if you are going to be applying to a variety of different roles, you kind of do want that resume on there that can fit all those different opportunities. If you're just going to be applying to marketing jobs, then obviously put your targeted resume on there and use that for the positions you're applying to. But if you are interested in, a variety of positions, I would say maybe put the general one so that it can apply to everything rather than being super, super targeted. And then you apply to something that it's not relevant to, it kind of looks a little funky. So I would say that general one might be the best, unless you really are just going to be super, super targeted in your search. Let's see. Okay, Stanley, I do see you kind of are addressing a similar question that Anne asked about having multiple resumes. So I agree. I think it's great to have multiple resumes. I think if you are applying to a variety of different fields, it's good to have multiple resumes that address that. I will say that if you are, while you may have worked in multiple fields, if you are looking to target a specific industry at this point, I would make that one resume that kind of summarizes everything and just pulls from those different areas to target exactly what this new field you're looking to go into addresses or needs. So say you've worked in teaching and you've worked in sales and you've worked in retail, but right now you're looking to get into sales, I would make a specific resume that's solely targeted at that sales side of things, even if it's pulling from all those different jobs that you may have had. Great question, Anne. So I see that you're asking, have you found that some of the jobs are posted that companies never intend to fill? So that's one of the reasons why I recommend narrowing down by the date posted rather than relevance, just because those positions that were just posted are most likely the ones that are going to be, the ones that need to be filled. I will say, we also have an internal team that goes through and checks information on the postings that are over, say, 30 days to make sure that they are still relevant and are still positions that are being, searched for that need to be filled. So that's another sort of feature that we offer for our job seekers is we have a team specifically targeted at making sure that these positions still do need to get filled. And if they don't, we're going to take them down from the site, and the companies are going to have to reach back out to us and say, hey, actually, we are filling that, or hey, we filled it, but we're still hiring. It's an evergreen position. So you should only be seeing opportunities that do need to be filled. Obviously, some might fall through the cracks, but most of them are going to be positions that have immediate needs. Okay, Stanley, another good question. Side question, what seems to be the relevance of cover letters? I've heard different views. So that's a great question, and I think every recruiter will give you a different opinion on cover letters. So I know we don't actually require a cover letter for our application here. So I personally am always checking the resume before I even look at the area where the cover letter might be in our application, just because it's not required. So I'm just going to look at that first required document, and then if I have questions or concerns, I'm going to go to that cover letter. That's going to be my bit of advice is if you are super confident that your resume is giving away all of the information you need, so if you're confident that your resume kind of says it all, then if it's not required, I'd say you don't need a cover letter. I always view the cover letter as a great way to kind of fill in the blanks for the recruiter if they have any doubts on your resume, right? So if you say are trying to switch industries and your experience doesn't really relate or line up to the position that you're applying to, that's a good spot for your cover letter to come in and fill in the blanks for, hey, I know I've been doing marketing for 10 years, but I am looking to jump into the recruiting field and kind of fill in the blanks that might be a doubt in the recruiter's mind. That's where you use that cover letter. So obviously if it's required on the application, so you have to use it. For those ones where it's not required, I would just say if you have, any doubts that they might pass on your resume, fill in the blanks for them and let them know, this is why I'm the perfect fit. Let's see, the length of a cover letter, I would say should be no longer than a page. Normally I would say 3 to 4 paragraphs, right? So a quick introduction, maybe 2 short paragraphs or 3 short paragraphs about your background, your experience, and then how it relates to the role, and then just quickly closing it up with, a thank you. I'm always a fan of, being efficient and getting to the point. So even though cover letters can be lengthy and can be formal and you want them to really be your best foot forward, I would make sure every single sentence in that letter has some sort of relevance or value. Because if it's not a page, I wouldn't worry, right? If it's a little shorter than a page, that's fine. As long as you're getting that information across as, condensed as possible. That's another bit of advice, just because recruiters are going to be, skimming it pretty quickly. So you want whatever they're picking up or whatever they're seeing on there to be the most relevant information and the most useful information. Let's see. Is a summary required in the resume? And then, let's see. So summary, again, is similar to cover letter. It really depends. So if your summary is going to be super targeted to each of those different positions, I would say leave it there. One thing that I have seen come up pretty often is candidates will forget to change their summary for, say, the job title or the company, or what careers they're looking to go into. So then when I'm reading that summary, it doesn't line up to the job that they applied to. So that's one, piece of warning for that summary sentence, is make sure that if you do have it there, it is relevant and targeted to that job that you applied to. But I don't think it's necessary. It's really just preference. And if you have the space on your resume, great. If not, I don't think it's necessary. As for the sequence, if you have recently graduated, I would say within the past 5 years, I would have your education at the top, just because that is, the most recent thing that you have done, and a lot of employers look for that first on the resume. If not, I think it's fine to be at the bottom of the page as well. I know we all scroll down to the bottom to check if it's not right up top. So really either way is fine, but most resumes that do come through that I've seen have that education on top and then the experience right underneath it. As for how you line up the sections, I would put your work experience right after that education. And then underneath that, you can put, say, leadership opportunities, extracurriculars, volunteer work that you've done, whatever that relates back to the positions you're applying to. I would kind of align it based off of the relevance back to that position. So whatever is most related to the job you're applying to, have that at the top and then kind of adjust off. Let's see. Let's see, you're asking about your work history, and for a seasoned worker, how far back should you go? Honestly, again, that's based off of your preference and then the job description. So if the job description is looking for, 15 years of experience, obviously keep all 15 years on there. If the job description is looking for someone with, say, 4 years of sales experience, I would put the 4, 5, 6, 7 years of sales experience you've had, and then whatever, other bits of jobs you've had in between that aren't related, I would take them off. I would always just make sure that the job description is lining up with what you got on your resume. So honestly, again, I know it's kind of broad, but it'll really just depend on the job description's requirement and then also the skill set that you're trying to put forth for that job description. So if it seems like more of a, entry level position, try and tailor that resume so that it's not over sharing information, just so that it's emphasizing the exact skills that are necessary for the position, nothing lost, nothing, excessively. Let's see. Within how many days of a job posting should you apply? I would say within, obviously the sooner the better, like I've kind of been mentioning with, narrowing it down by date, but anything within 30 days of being posted, I would say is a safe bet to still apply. Obviously it can't hurt to apply to anything that's, past the 30-day mark, but once you've had 30 days and it's been posted on there, it's likely that they're starting to kind of get close to their, number one candidate that they're gonna. How many pointers are acceptable under professional work experience? So I would say around 3 to 6 bullets under each job should be okay. Anything over, 7 or 8 can get a bit lengthy for each job. And if you are kind of going in and trying to, narrow down those experiences, maybe think about, separating things. So maybe if some of the bullets are based off of a project you did, add a section that's specifically targeting projects, and then you can list some of the projects you had and make, bullets for those rather than all under the same job title. So I would just always be creative with your resume. Think about other ways to present the material so that it's not, all bulked under one position. You can kind of separate it a bit. Maybe you had 2 different job titles, but it was all for the same company, or you were working with a special group for part of that. So just thinking about how to break it down if you do have too much under one job title. If I target my job history for a specific field and leave out non-relevant jobs, will these 10 guides be possible pitfalls? So for that, I would that's probably a situation where the cover letter could come into play, where you're kind of filling in the blanks for, hey, I've had experience in a variety of different fields. My resume is there. Sorry, Sammy, I just saw your edit. Yeah, so I would use that maybe for the cover letter where you're filling in, hey, this is my experience. I've been working for X many years in this variety of industries, and my resume is there to present, the most relevant experience. If you want, you can also do a section where, you're not having bullets underneath the jobs, but you just have the title, the company, and the date range that you were there, so that they have that on the resume, but it's just not as in depth as, say, those positions that you're really emphasizing that go back to the role. But I do think that sort of situation could be a good way to use the cover letter to explain, hey, here's the gaps, and this is what I was doing, but I'm using the resume to really emphasize, X, Y, and Z experience. Let's see. Are visually appealing resumes fine? Example, visual CV versus. resume for me. Yeah, so I think resumes are a great way to kind of show your personality and really get your point across how you see fit. So if you have a resume that isn't just, the basic black and white choppy format, that's fine, especially if you're looking to get into an industry that does, look for that creative side of things. That's even better, make it show your personality, make it yourself, and make it stand out. Um, I would consider the positions that you're applying to uh, and really tailor your resume based off of that. So if it's something that's going to be a bit more of a professional, corporate, formal position, I would maybe save the colorful resume and just put that straightforward, condensed, black and white sort of choppy resume there. If not, say you're just applying to any sort of positions, or even if the company itself is a fun sort of culture and a fun environment to work in, that could be another spot where you're using that colorful resume rather than the basic format. But yeah, I love when fun resumes come through. They always stand out to me, so I always encourage it. Let's see. Thomas is asking how Indeed is paid for. So what our sales team does here is they reach out to different employers and different companies and get them to sponsor their position. So when you're looking, the jobs that come up on the top are going to be, they're always going to be related to what you're searching. They just might be a hair sponsored. So if you look, you'll see the first 3 positions are sponsored, as well as down at the bottom, you'll also have a few sponsored positions. Don't get me wrong, those positions are, even though they're sponsored, they still are going to be, perfectly aligned with what you're searching for. Those are just companies who have a budget behind their job postings to get them better visibility. So similar to Google, where you can, sponsor the position so that they're coming up on the first or second or third page of Google. It's similar to that here at Indeed. And let's see, you're asking if the visual resumes will get through the ATS. Yep, so how it works is, so for our ATS, they might come in a little bit choppy, but we're still able to read them and see the information. The formatting might just have changed. So for me personally, when that happens and I see a resume's formatting is a little off, I'll just download the resume and open it up outside of the ATS so that I can see what it's supposed to look like, rather than the choppy version of, or the chopped version of the ATS. So I know our resume parser that pulls it into the ATS can handle the 2 columns. So I know a lot of people do, 2 lines of columns. Maybe the left-hand side has all their educational information and the right-hand side has work experience. Ours pulls it through. I cannot speak for all of the ATSs though. We do have our own, so I'm not sure about all of the companies and their ATSs, but I know ours does pull those resumes and process it properly. Honestly, again, that's up to you. For me, like, just if you're concerned about it being formatted properly when it comes to the ATS, then maybe I would stick with just a basic resume so that you're not worried about, hey, did they get the information that I was trying to send across? Did it go through properly? Are they reading it properly? If that's going to be something that's always in the back of your mind, then maybe I would stick with just a general format, still able to add that personality to it and that sort of fun, exciting, visual things to it, but maybe just keep it, rather than 2-sided or 2 sections, maybe just keep it 1, or just stick to just a basic sort of format with a bit more flair to it, if that's going to be a concern. I know that technology is getting better and better, so I would hope one day that never has to be a concern for anyone, but if that is something that you're worried about, I would just stick to maybe a more basic format there. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions from the viewers?
Okay, let's see.
Oh, we have one just pop up.
Yep, so, let's see, for references, what do you have to say about using your colleague as a reference? I think it's fine. We've seen plenty of people use colleagues as references. As long as they're able to speak to your work ethic and you know how you work, your sort of skill sets that you're bringing to the table, I think it's fine to use it. Um, with always thinking about with references, they have to be able to answer questions about how you work and how you perform. So if your colleague has never say, you know, maybe you work on sales and it's somebody that you get lunch with in accounting, maybe not the best colleague to put down for a reference since they haven't worked with you directly and seen your work ethic. But if it's someone on your sales team, fine, that's great. They sat next to you every day and they know how you work and how much of a hard worker you are, then that's fine to put. Superiors and direct reports. So yeah, superiors are great. Obviously, I know for us, we ask for three references, and one of them does have to be someone that you reported into. So one of them has to be a boss from one of your previous positions. So some companies might specify that, but I think superiors are one of the best references to put, as well as direct reports. So if you are a manager and you're applying to a management position, and having someone who's reported into you, talking about how great of a manager you are and how much they've enjoyed working for you. That's obviously one of the best references that you can get. So obviously depends on the job you're applying to, but direct reports again also would be a good option as well. All of those are perfectly.
Any other final questions? We have about 13 minutes left in the webinar. Okay. Victoria, would you mind just giving? Oh, Stanley just chimed in with another question.
Awesome. Let's see. What is the value of job history for companies that are on some aerospace companies? Obviously, I would leave them on there. I wouldn't be too concerned about companies that are now out of business or don't exist anymore. We've seen resumes come through with a lot of companies that are no longer around, and that's fine. It's still work experience, so I wouldn't think anything of that being on a job or on a resume. They might ask you, say, like if you were around for when they closed down, how did that go, or what are your thoughts, or how did you handle that? Um, Maybe potentially be prepared for questions around it, but I normally don't even touch on that side of things. I just ask about the work experience from that company. I'm not too worried about the company itself. Okay, so for the different companies, how should you answer? Who's your boss? I would just put the name of the person that was your boss at the time. If it's asking specifically, for their title or whatever, just give them the title of what they're currently doing or what they were at the time. And then when they do ask for references or if they ask for more details, then you can clarify, hey, the company is no longer in business. But whoever was your boss at that time, you can still use as that person. If obviously if you remember who it was and if you have their contact information, maybe at another company, or if you don't, you can kind of put that in a note as well. But yeah, I would just use whoever was your boss at that time.
Hey, any more questions?
Yeah, so let's see, how many awards and extracurriculars are enough to mention on a resume? I don't think there's too many. Obviously, if it's taking up majority of your resume, maybe narrow it down a little bit and be a little bit more targeted to the job that you've applied to. That's always, how I think about, what to put on a resume and what to focus on. I would just have that job description up that you're applying to, or a rough job description of what you're applying to, and then target your resume. Sorry, target your resume exactly to that, right? So if they're asking for specific skill sets that are being emphasized by your awards and extracurriculars, then put as many as you need to on there that will get your point across. Um, like I said, if they're taking up the entire page or half the page, then maybe let's narrow it down and kind of balance out the work experience and the, you know, leadership opportunities on there. But I don't think there's too many. I would just make sure that the ones that you're putting on there are always relevant to the job, or have, if you want to use something as a talking point that maybe isn't related to the job, make sure you have like a good reason why you're leaving it on there if they bring it.
All right. Seems like we're getting closer to the end of the webinar. We have about 8 minutes slotted left. One of the things I like to close, Victoria, do you have any closing comments you would like to say? I know someone wanted you to summarize a little bit just in what you covered. So if you can go through just real quickly, and then I'll end with some closing comments as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, the platform is pretty simple to use, pretty user friendly. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, that advanced search feature really saved my life when I was looking for jobs. That's kind of where I went to search and look for those opportunities. So if you ever are confused or don't know how to search the right formatting, and it's not pulling up the jobs that you want, go to that advanced search. That's probably going to help you kind of direct your search a little bit better. And if you have any sort of questions or have any further thoughts that you have, you can just email me directly. My email is victoria@indeed.com. So really easy to remember. So if you need anything else, I'm always here for questions, always happy to help.
Great, thank you, Victoria. One of the things in closing that I always like to leave the viewers with is understanding that being a graduate of the University of Arizona, you have a free resource to you in the UA Alumni Career Lab. So please feel free to tap into us with any career help that you might need, professional development help that you might need. That's what we're here for. Go to alumnicareerlab.com in order to see more of the resources that we have available to you. Some of the upcoming events that we have here coming up on February 8th, we have a big live stream show with called Cats in the Corner Office with Andy Harris. Andy is an alumni of the U of A, and he's just recently sold his chemical company for $670 million. And so we're going to be interviewing him and asking him questions about his career track and some of the things that he had success with and some of the things that he failed with. That's a live streamed show, so you're able to sign up and actually have questions while we're taping it, while we're filming it. Another event we have tomorrow is called Ask an Expert Virtual Career Coaching Session. If you want to sign up for that, please go to the website and check it out. That's a space where you can have your resume critiqued, you can have your LinkedIn profile critiqued, and you can just get career help in general during that session tomorrow. If you're interested, please go to alumnicareerlab.com. And then another job board that's available to you all is called Handshake. That's a program that's used university wide, and it's a free service to the alumni. And if you're interested in that, that's also on our website as well. But with that being said, I'd like to give another thanks to Victoria for giving her time tonight in order to educate us and be better prepared to use Indeed in our job search endeavors. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. My email is cendric.steptoe@al.arizona.edu. Any further questions, please email me there. And like Aviva said in the text, we will have all of this information available on the Career Lab website. And so if you want to rewatch this webinar, it'll be up there for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and dismiss everyone for tonight. Thanks for joining in. Victoria, once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody. I hope this was helpful. And like I said, shoot me an email if you need anything. Have a good night.
Thank you.